May I join the testing?
Testing.
Okay,
There we go.
I'm okay.
Thank you for your patience. If you would like, please join me in singing hymn number 1002, Comfort Me. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me. Comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me, ready? Sing with me. Sing with me. Sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Alan, take it away, let's hum. Ready? Feel it, feel it. You don't even need to look at your head now. One more. Give me everything. Comfort me. Ready? Comfort me. Comfort me. Comfort me. Oh, my soul. Yeah. Comfort me. Comfort me. Fantastic.
I feel comforted. It's nice, isn't it? Good morning. Even with the rain, it's still a good morning, right? I'm Chris Brubaker. I'm today's worship associate. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Lancaster. Isn't that mural outside just breathtaking? Let's take a moment and appreciate it. I must admit I wasn't involved, and therefore when I came on Friday, I was just so pleased for all of us. And thank you for those of you who were involved. So we come together to nourish the spirit, connect in love, and act for justice. We welcome you this morning, just as you are. Whatever your heritage, whatever your faith, whomever you love, however you identify, today we are part of a spiritual community. And if this is your first time here, may you soon discover that this is also your spiritual community. Now, this is a kind of an aside, but it's what we say. Please do what you need to do to feel fully present in the space. Move, sway, I've never seen this, dance.
I've danced, I've seen it.
Okay, we have memories here. If doing something with your hands helps you feel present, please feel free to use the hands-on material on the tables in the Women's Memorial Room. And we already have a young one, very involved, and isn't that nice? And a special welcome to those joining the service on Zoom. As has become our tradition, I invite those on Zoom to turn on their camera and share a wave with us together. So, would everybody kindly turn around and wave at the camera at the back of the sanctuary to send our greeting. Now, at this time, I would like to introduce one of our board members, Steve Jones. And before he says anything, I'd like to add that actually November is National Native American Month, and that November 25th is National Native American Day. And Steve will come forward and read our land acknowledgement statement.
Thank you, Chris. I welcome all this morning as well, not just to this space and time, but let us also acknowledge in this sacred space the truth of the land beneath and around us. We are gathered on land once inhabited by people known as the Susquehannock and Conestoga. We acknowledge the violent legacies of genocide, displacement, and settlement that led to us being here today, and remind ourselves to live humbly in relation with this land and with all of the indigenous peoples still living and loving on this continent. Many indigenous people will say, all are relatives. May we live into this truth and aspiration together. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our wonderful minister, Reverend Patricia Guthman-Harris.
Thank you, Steve. Good morning, everybody. I hope you feel comforted. We're going to be talking about wounded words, so maybe we need a little extra comfort. Because some words in our lives that relate to theology and spirituality and religion can feel a little wounded, a little tough to hear and take in. So may we be comforted. And I'm going to read some words, and I think especially of Lenore when I read these, because they will come from the great liberal religious educator, Sophia Lyons-Faz, and also Lenore's childhood minister, Wayne Arneson. It comes first Sophia and then Wayne. We pause in the reverence before the wonder of life, the wonder of this moment, the wonder of being together, so close, yet so apart. Each hidden in a secret chamber, but each listening, each trying to speak, yet none fully understanding, none fully understood. But we pause in reverence before all intangible things that eyes see not, nor ears can detect, that hands can never touch, that space cannot hold and time cannot measure. May our hearts and minds be opened to the power and the insight that weave together the scattered threads of our experience, and help us to remember the wholeness of which we are a part. Please rise as you're able in spirit or body, and Eli will lead us in singing a different song. It's not the number that you thought in the order of service. It's the number above, number 31. And it speaks to the mystery, name unnamed.
Name on name. Sorry, yeah. Let's try it again. Ready? That's okay. Name unnamed, hidden and shown, knowing and known, Gloria, beautifully moving, ceaselessly forming, growing, emerging with awesome delight, maker of rainbows, glowing with color, arching in wonder, energy flowing in darkness and light, beautifully chaos pulling and twisting, freeing the fibers of pattern and form, weaver of stories, famed or unspoken, tangled or broken, shaping a tapestry vivid and warm, nudging discomfort, prodding and shaking, waking our lives to creative unease, straight talking lover, checking and humbling, jargon and grumbling, speaking the truth that refreshes and frees. Name unnamed, hidden and shown, knowing and known, Gloria. Deeply.
Thank you. I feel ready to be with the mystery now. Good morning, my name is Lenore, and I serve the congregation as Director of Lifespan Faith Development, and I'd like now to invite any children or youth or anyone who wishes to come up to hear a special Wonderbox time to come up now. Reverend Pat and I are up here with you. And let's see what's in the Wonderbox. I wonder what could be in the Wonderbox. Does anybody want to help me open the Wonderbox today? Would you like to come up and help? Okay. You and Star. What is this? It's a book. That's right, it's a book. Thank you so much. This is a book. This is a very special book. Does anybody know what we call this book? We were just holding it to sing. Reverend Pat?
Do you know? I know what the book is. Do you know what the book is?
A hymnal. It's a hymnal. That's right. And in our hymnal are words and songs from people who are wise that Unitarian Universalists have chosen to guide us and shape us. And one of those people is someone we've already heard from today, Sophia Lyon-Foz. She was a religious educator of great power and mystery and wonder and reverence for the spirits of children. And we're going to actually take inspiration. It's number 657 if you want to follow along in your own hymnals out there. Number 657. So I'm going to try to find 657 in here. Does anybody want to help me find 657? I see 659. Aha. 657. Thank you, Steph. So I'd invite you, sometimes we like to read these off the page, but sometimes the words make a little more sense when we move with them. And Reverend Pat is bringing with her a tradition from other congregations she's served with moving with this reading, with this prayer. So I invite you now, if you'd like, to get up and get ready to move with these words.
Rise as you're able in spirit or body.
Okay, so we're all going to rise.
You can just go ahead.
Okay. It matters what we believe. How will we move to that?
Oh, well, that's just the title.
We can't move yet. That's just the title.
You can if you'd like, anyway.
Some beliefs are like walled gardens. Oh. They encourage exclusiveness and the feeling of being especially privileged. Other beliefs are expansive and lead the way into wider and deeper sympathies. Look how much we're expanding. How can we expand? Let's expand even more. Some beliefs are like shadows, clouding children's days with fears of unknown calamities. Like shadows. Other beliefs are like sunshine, blessing children with the warmth of happiness. What does warm happiness feel like to you? Maybe like this. Oh, that's beautiful. Some beliefs are divisive, separating the saved from the unsaved, friends from enemies. Other beliefs are bonds in a world community altogether, where sincere differences beautify the pattern. Ah, look how together those fingers are. Some beliefs are like blinders, like on a horse, shutting off the power to choose one's own direction. Other beliefs are like gateways, opening wide vistas for exploration. Wide, wide, wide. How wide do you think we could explore if we were walking around like this all the time? That would be pretty wide. Some beliefs weaken a person's selfhood, make a person's sense of themselves feel weaker. Oh, like this, yeah. They blight the growth of resourcefulness. Other beliefs nurture self-confidence. Self-confidence. Let's say self-confidence.
Self-confidence.
And enrich the feeling of personal worth.
Yay.
Some beliefs are rigid, like the body of death, impotent in a changing world. That looks pretty rigid. Let me see if I can move you.
No.
Other beliefs are pliable, like the young sapling, ever growing with the upward thrust of life. Wow, that's growing. Oh, that's growing.
And free. You can
It's
bend
growing
me.
and free. Thank you. Well, I'm going to thank you so much for doing our body prayer today. I'm going to put our hymnal very carefully back in the Wonder Box so it can be wonderful for us another time. now we invite, as has become our tradition, we invite everyone in the congregation to sing with Eli as we process out to our Spirit Play class this morning. Children and youth, ages 4 through 17, are all welcome to join Spirit Play with Marianne and me and Suze today.
This is number 1057 in the Teal Hymnal. We sing this each week, so you might know it at this point, right? Go lifted up, love bless your way, moonlight, starlight, guide your journey into peace and the brightness of day. One more time, ready? Go lifted up, love bless your way, moonlight, starlight, guide your journey into peace and the brightness of day. Thanks.
At this time, may we go into that center of each of us, which is our heart, and the love at our center. These words are adapted from UU Minister Wyman Rousseau, and I think on this day when we're going to celebrate an ordination, Wyman was a student minister when I was a little girl at my UU congregation. So these words from Wyman. Each of us enters this place with different needs. Some hearts are full of gratitude and joy, and we rejoice with them. Some hearts ache with sorrow. May our presence and sympathy bring those hearts comfort. Some hearts are embittered. May the knowledge that we too are trying and searching restore their hope and give them courage to believe that not all is emptiness. Some spirits hunger. May we, in our common need and striving, gain strength from one another. I forgot I had my mask on. Great, I hope you heard me okay. Strength and comfort, as we share our joys. May our hearts be open and filled with understanding for each other and the greater world around us. I'm Chris. If you could place stones, I'm going to name some joys, sorrows, complex truths, and Chris will place some stones in the sand as I do. And I want to start with a stone of celebration. Naomi will not need hip replacement surgery at this time, which she so was fearing. And she wanted to thank all of you who had reached out to her during this evaluation and waiting time. So good to know for now she doesn't need the surgery. A stone of concern and compassion for our dear Lillian. Do hold her in your hearts. A stone of gratitude for all of you who showed up for the Get Out the Vote Day. Yay, you brought your UU hearts and minds and souls. Thank you so much. And some of you even sang. a joy, a stone of joy and celebration, because it's going to be Elizabeth Shuba's ordination today, and it's been a journey, and we're so proud and happy. That will be at 1:30 p.m. today, but do come after the service for some soup, if you're going to be here in between, right? And just to come for soup. A stone of remembrance for our dear Carol Lieber. And today her obituary should have been in the paper. If not, a notice, it was, and a notice will be coming from the congregation. Her celebration of life will be here next Sunday at 2 p.m. And it will also be live streamed. And I think volunteers for the reception and help around the sanctuary will be welcome. And a last stone. If you read the minister's monthly message, you know that voting is on my mind. And usually I'm not thinking about it so much. It's just a thing I do. But this year especially, it's a complex truth, yes? So a stone of hope that we may preserve our tradition of free and fair elections. May it be so. And at this time, whether you're participating on Zoom and have stones where you are or here in the sanctuary, all are invited now in silence to bring your joys, sorrows, complex truths in your hearts here, if you wish, up in the front, and plant a stone of healing in the sand so that joy may spread, healing may spread, so you can lay it down there. May we imagine those seeds of healing and compassion. You may come forward now. May we take a moment and hold all of those joys, sorrows, complex truths in our hearts. Hold them and be still and just meditate for a while in silence together. We don't always get to do that in a room together. Just be together and hold the silence full of love and healing.
I think you'll appreciate hearing the words of the poem by UU Reverend Elizabeth Tarbox as much as I did when I read it, and now I get to say it. So I'll go as slowly as I think the emphasis should be. Let's keep talking, my love. Words have to spare. Love words, angry words, and beneath them, hurting, bleeding, dying words. And beneath them, words melted by fire, hardened by ice, words of sadness and truth birthed from the cavern of tears. And when words are spent, heaped over the pages, spilled on the floor, let us read each other's eyes and see the chapters and places where the old bookmarks press the pages apart. So the book opens up to the old story before we can move on. For you are all the love words I have ever heard, and all the hurt words, where love is deepest, stripped back and bleeding. But let's be caring and keep caring, ever so slowly, building down the words, one beneath the other, getting closer to the truth. And still deeper until you touch your words to my wounds. Honor them and feel the pain. Our wounds may not be healed by the touch of each other's words, but are dignified by our recognition of their existence. Then and only then will the words mean anything. When we have used them up until the old meanings have been scrubbed off, when the wrong words have been tried and discarded, and the right words have been spoken in a whisper, then let us climb down into each other's souls and rest there in silence and in love.
So words, you can't live with them and you can't live without them. Wounded words. I think to explain what I mean by wounded words, I'm going to start off with an experience I had when I was a little girl. And for some, I just want to be sure I say, be prepared, because for me, it was a very hurtful experience. I mean, this was decades ago, and I still can feel it in my bones, right? I was raised Unitarian. Elizabeth and I recognize we are birthright UUs, right? Not many of us. But I was raised Unitarian in a neighborhood that was mostly Catholic and Jewish. And a few blocks away from my house, there was St. Leo's, a private Catholic school. And so my friends in the neighborhood were either my friends who went to my public school, or they were my Catholic friends, who I didn't see much of after grade school started, but I thought we were still friends. And I would walk about a mile every day to the public elementary school. And I'm thinking I was maybe 8 or 9 years old this one morning when I was walking on my way alone, and a bus headed to St. Leo's was going down the street, and I was getting ready because I knew, I'd probably know people in that bus. So I was getting ready to wave or smile or whatever you do in Minnesota, because, Minnesota nice, right? That's what you do, even to strangers. You'd smile. And I noticed as the bus was approaching me, the windows came down, and I'm getting, more ready to say hi. But as soon as their windows were opened and they yelled out of the bus, they yelled out, "The Jews killed Jesus." And the bus drove away. And I'm 8 or 9, right? What do I do with that? And I was stunned. Each word was like a dagger. And I will share with you in another context, I would have thought the word Jew was a good thing because my parents were Jewish. All my relatives, except for some, were Jewish. So before that day, no one had used that word like a dagger, like an insult, or like a way to hurt me. And there it was. And before that, I wouldn't have thought anything negatively of the word Catholic, because those were my friends, and they went to the school nearby. And I wouldn't have thought anything negative of the word Christian, because the way me as a Unitarian Universalist was taught, it was about loving your neighbor, right? That's what I was taught being Christian was about. being humble like Jesus and lifting up the stranger and the vulnerable. That's what I was taught about religious people. I wouldn't have thought anything before about private school kids or any of those things, but all of a sudden, in that moment, 3 words out of a bus window, and those words all got complex for me and could be like wounded words. I needed to unpack them in a way. My little Unitarian Universalist heart wanted to figure out how to be loving and generous in that moment, and from then on, be a good, tolerant, compassionate, love your neighbor, Unitarian Universalist. And so I'd have to do some work, and I guess I'm always doing the work. The work continues as we can share things that we don't even realize how hurtful they can be. So this is what I'm talking about, and maybe some words and experiences are coming up for you in your own mind about what might be wounded words in relation to religion for you. The first time I heard of this term, it was from the Reverend Barbara Tenhove. She's actually the daughter of a family that has a few Unitarian Universalist ministers. We know words can hurt, and they can hurt feelings, but usually we're accustomed to derogatory words, slang words that might hurt. Words about ethnic groups or uncomplimentary words, words with hate behind them. But sometimes these words involving religion get weaponized too, sometimes not intentionally. Those children in the bus were just repeating, unfortunately, what they had learned from their own families and education and their church, by golly. Yet some of these words, out of some life experience, some association, become a painful word, or makes us tense or uncomfortable. Or maybe it's a word that we just don't use in our language anymore. We've tossed away because it's meaningless or seems irrelevant in our life. What Barbara raises up, of course, is that many of us who come to a Unitarian Universalist setting have a lot of wounded words related to religion, a lot of loaded words that we have struggles with. Maybe in your past they were words that brought feelings of shame, or as a child frightened you, or now may even seem silly to you. Perhaps you are uncomfortable with words like sin, sinner, faith even, evil, Jesus Christ. I can tell you in the congregation I grew up in, if ever from the pulpit someone said Jesus, all the adults were like, oh, I can't believe they said that. Because people came wounded to the congregation, right? Even words like religion, church, worship, sermon can give a little tinge. Some words may seem irrelevant to you, but there even may be people still sitting with you in the pews for whom those words bring comfort. And as good Unitarian Universalists, we want to make space for that, right? You may have rejected some of these ideas, and they still may feel very important to others, even in this room. So how do we keep that love conversation open, like the reading talked about? How do we try and unpack these words and hold them together and understand what may be hurtful for you might be good for me, and remember the inherent worth and dignity of each of us in the moment? Barbara Tenhove talks about how each word is like a container, like a box. So think of me and my experience. I've got this box with the phrase, Jews killed Jesus, right? I put in my family history. I put in the Catholic kids in the bus. I put in all these things in that box. And over time, I work on how to bring it up to the light, re-examine it, unpack it, think about it. How am I going to let it sit and wound me? Or how do I unravel those layers of meaning, dig them out and figure them out? If we bring healing around the hurt, if we are to come to terms or even reclaim these wounded words for our own, every once in a while we need to unpack those boxes. Sometimes we don't even realize that these meanings we're holding on to came out of bias or came out of impartial truths or misunderstanding. We can cling onto what we had long believed these words meant, only to find out someday, oh, wait a minute, I didn't have all the facts. I didn't have all the truth around that meaning. I can tell you, when I went to seminary, I had all these preconceived notions about what a lot of terms meant in religion, to find out that that didn't even have to do with the original intent or the original Latin meaning or the original Greek meaning. It brought a whole new light to a lot of these wounded words that I had just let other people say to me what they meant, instead of me doing my own discovery and rediscovery of what those words might mean. It was like, you know how in the old days when we had records and a needle would get stuck on a groove and it would get stuck and stuck? Well, sometimes we gotta just pull that needle up and let the song play and hear it again freshly, right? Over time, I've come to learn, of course, that not all Catholics believe that the Jews killed Jesus. As a matter of fact, I have partnered with Catholics throughout my life in lifting up the very vulnerable, the hungry, the poor, to ally with in AIDS ministry and other things. So I've done a lot of unpacking around what the word Catholic might mean. As a matter of fact, I think of an office administrator at a Catholic church. She said, you know, Reverend Pat, you're my favorite non-Catholic clergy. Well, thank you. A good friend and colleague, the Reverend Diane Rollert, who now serves in Montreal, suggests that wounded words in the religious realm aren't always words that wound, but words that have been co-opted by others. Beautiful language stolen from us, limiting us in our means of communication. Wounded words that perhaps we can lift up from the ashes and reconstruct in meaningful ways. So I'm just going to do one little word to unpack together, because it's an easy one, I think. The word religion. Some people might not like that word religion, or might say, are Unitarian Universalists a religion? What does religion mean? Sometimes religion meant a thing that was forced upon you and you didn't like. There can be a lot of things. Some people who said they were religious you thought were hypocritical, right? So that can be a wounded words. My dad would always say, what does religion have to do with God anyway? Which I always like to talk about with him. Oh, I got an applause for that. Barbara Tenhove notes that she had trouble with the word religion too. So she did, as I just mentioned we would do in seminary, she went back to the Latin word for religion. And what is that word? That word is ligare. Ligare. Like the ligaments in the body that connect muscle to bone. The very muscle to bone, those little thread-like ligaments. I love that image because it doesn't talk about theology or doctrine or use that language, but it's that very thing that binds you together. Fragile and delicate, but can meet muscle to bone. And for us in religion, it's not just me individually, but what are the ligaments, those little thread-like things that hold us all together? Religion. What we can say our principles and purposes as Unitarian Universalists, the values that we hold. Religion in this room, what is it that holds us together, both fragile but strong enough to bring muscle to bone? That's an example of unpacking and thinking about and holding a word up again to new light, but kind of going back to its original intent. The ties that bind us, religion. Language and words and communication get so complicated. Maybe we shouldn't even try to talk about religion. If only we could just climb down into each other's souls and rest there in silence, like the poet that Chris had just shared with you, Elizabeth mentioned. But we're stuck with words. So I'm going to have you do a little exercise. Just take a little moment now. And if you haven't gotten a note card, and if there isn't something around you to write with, Brad has some more note cards. Because what I'm going to do through the end of the year is collect and compile from you your biggies, your top 3, your top 5 wounded words in relation to religion. And if you're in Zoom, we're going to have a link in the love letter these coming weeks where you can submit your words. If you can't think of them right now or you want to submit a few more, you can do that with the link. But if you would take some time, write down, don't think too much about it, the ones that just get you right in the gut first, the top 3 to 5 words, Brad will collect them. And when we come back together after the first of the year, I'm going to preach on them. If you don't like that word, I'm going to talk about them. And we're going to unpack those a little together, and I will bring with it my Unitarian Universalist background and spin on those words. So I'll give you a few minutes to think about those words. A word or two, like the biggies, like if it's sin or prayer or doctrine or hypocrisy. Well, that's actually a pretty good word, isn't it? But if that is a wound for you, right? Name, Christian, Jewish, Muslim. I mean, think about any of them, right? Redemption, grace. Some people say, Reverend Pat, what does spiritual mean anyway? Am I spiritual? I mean, think about those words you struggle with, that you just really don't like. I mean, any of these words that we can maybe unpack together. Is that helping? I can throw out more. I bet others could too. What I'm going to do, just because of time, if you want to keep writing, go ahead. And even as we pass the plates for your offering, you could even drop your words in there too, and we'll sort them out, I think. But we'll keep going on and thinking about these words. And like I said, after the first of the year, it will be Reverend Pat's series on wounded words. Bundle them up and unpack them. So much of how we process and learn our beliefs, our ideas about the world in a Unitarian Universalist setting is through each other's lives and experiences. We share, we talk about our journeys here. We learn that way from each other. And the problem is if there are words that are a barrier, I'm talking with someone and a word or a concept is mentioned and someone says basically, halt, don't go there, the learning stops, right? If we can move forward and help with love to understand why that is such a hard word, I think that can be helpful. This is a process about breaking down those barriers, traversing unknown and uncomfortable ground with those others who are going to be companions, our companions on the journey. There's a poem from William Stafford called Ask Me that for me draws the picture perfectly about being companions in this, call it religious, spiritual journey, call it seeking truth. Whatever this venture is on that we're in it together at UUCL. And so here's the poem. Sometime when the river is ice, ask me mistakes I have made. Ask me whether what I have done is my life. Others have come in their slow way into my thought, and some have tried to help or to hurt. Ask me what difference their strongest love or hate has made, and I will listen to what you say. You and I can turn and look at the silent river and wait. We know the current is there, hidden, and there are comings and goings from miles away that hold the stillness exactly before us. What the river says, that's what I say. Just like the image drawn in the poem, may we be able to sit together in the pews, out on the mulch, in Founders Hall, on Zoom, side by side, heart by heart. Ask me about my life, tell me about yours, what has helped, what has hurt. Use whatever words you use, and each of us, may we listen, you and me and all of us, about those comings and goings from miles away that have brought you and me here today. And after we have talked and understood, perhaps we can turn and look together out into the neighborhood and back onto the streets and have a sense of what beats beyond what we can see and hear and understand. May we get beyond those wounded words, find new meaning in old words, seek a common language that holds and binds us together like muscle and bone, a language that points to what perhaps is ultimately indescribable. But as I said, darn it, we're stuck with words. May it be so, and let us sing number 1008 in the Teal hymnal, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, and we see our faces in each other's eyes. in love and amazing grace when our heart is in a holy place. Last verse, here we go. When we share the silence and sacred space, and the God of our hearts stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place.
Thank you always. This is the time in our service when we will pass the plate and accept your offerings. But as usual, we sometimes switch things up, so bear with me. You may also go to our website if you're online and donate online. A portion of the offering will be shared this month, and next we'll go to the Common Wheel. Now, I belong to the Bike Club, so I kind of know what this group does, and I admire them. They are a nonprofit based downtown, and their mission is to transform our community. The way they do that is to service bikes for people that really need them and train the kids how to do it too, which is part of their teaching mission, and I really respect that. So I just wanted you to know a little bit more about the Common Wheel. So before we pass the plate, normally we would read in unison the affirmation of faith, both in English and Spanish, and that's found in your hymnal. So take a moment. Maybe you've memorized it. I sometimes am able and sometimes not. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. El amor es el espíritu de esta iglesia, y el servicio es su ofrenda. Este es nuestro gran pacto, el convivir unidos en paz, el buscar la verdad en amor, y ayudarnos unos a los otros. Again, this gets a little confusing. I've been told to read announcements during the plates that are being passed, but also this is the time when you can turn around or go forward and acknowledge your neighbors. So give money, greet your neighbors, mix it up, be generous. I think now would be a good time to read our covenant. That's in the order of service on the back side, together. We covenant to provide a welcoming community for all ages, respecting diversity and the inherent worth and dignity of all. Trusting good intentions, we strive to live courageously in love, service, and spiritual growth, and to work for peace and justice in the world.
Did you get through
May I
them?
do announcements now, or should I not?
I think they were pretty much about what she talked about, and I announced the other one. I think we're good. The
Okay.
only thing I don't think we announced quite yet is please save Sunday, November 20th. Following the service, we'll have a congregational meeting. But I think all of our announcements were about the ordination. And remember Carol Lieber's memorial next Sunday, following the service. So why don't we go ahead and extinguish the chalice, and I will offer these words from the late Reverend David O'Rinkin. The world is a process a mystery, an impossibility. And we grow only through enduring the tension and exploring the boundaries of the unknown. So let us dance in the empty spaces. Be nimble, be quick, for we are on an odyssey that lasts forever. Go in peace, go in joy, go in love, have soup, vote, remember the ordination, and Eli will sing.
Please join number 1053, How Could Anyone? We'll sing it 2 times through. Here we go.
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle?